about this love, about this, about this love, about this love. What's up? How you guys doing today? You are tuning into About This Love podcast with myself, Dale, man, my wife, Charel.
Hey.
We're just coming at you today with another episode. Some good stuff.
It's good stuff?
Yeah. But before we begin, as always, you can follow us on Facebook, Instagram. I mean, I don't think we have anything else besides Facebook and Instagram that you can follow us on, and you can ingest our podcast on iTunes, Spotify, and Google Podcasts, and wherever you can stream podcasts. We're up there. Just search About This Love. About This Love.
Is that how you said it in the intro?
Yeah, that's how I said in the intro. Yeah, but I know lately me and my wife have been doing marriage counseling. We've done throughout the course of our marriage.
We've been in marriage counseling, not giving people counsel.
Yeah. And nothing bad, because oftentimes I think when people hear the word, y'all getting counsel. Oh, y'all marriage about to fall apart. No, but I think that my mindset is any area in which you're weak, you can always get better in. It's just like when you're in school. If you're not good in math, or I wasn't very good in science or math when I was in high school, so I've always stayed and got tutoring to better those skills or better my academic in those areas. And I did. One of the things that I was talking to my wife about is just, I've asked myself over the years since I've been married, like, do I really love my wife? And I'm saying this because I think if you ask any married people or married couple, they'll probably tell you, like, over the years they've considered just walking away. And I mean, I think that's natural. It's just like, over the years I thought about walking away from my job, since keeping it 100, it's like, yeah, man, I'm tired of this, I'm saying? It's just one of those days you think about just the totality of things and just the things that would cause a ripple effect if you do that. And I know for me, one of the things I was telling my wife was the other day, I was actually having a conversation with the Lord. I was just pondering in my head, like, man, what if I just walk away, and because, my wife, we had just gotten into an argument and I was very upset. When you're emotional, you tend to think very, very irrational. But, I think, I just said it to myself, and the Lord was like, what you would be losing, what you would be giving up is just one, the father figure in the image of God that you are supposed to be to your children, and you would be giving up, that protection that is meant to come from you spiritually, just the nature, the nurturing nature of a father. It's like, yeah, you can give it, but it's like you can give it from, but it's difficult to do from afar away. And don't get me wrong, I'm not knocking any parents that who have to parent their children from other households. But what I am saying is that it's just not as effective as being in the home with the child all the time, 24/7. We know because we have, my wife had her first son by somebody, and we, do co-parenting. So we know from experience, it's not the same. You know what I'm saying? Oftentimes when the children are younger and they leave for a week or two and come back, you're having to kind of retrain them all over again. The first few days are kind of having to kind of get back in the rhythm of things, how things go at your house. So I say all of that to say that it's not the same. So one of the things that the Lord was just sharing with me was that, and it's what I needed to hear. He was like, son, to be honest with you, if we're honest, as human beings, we don't like to suffer, and I feel like the Lord wasn't saying like him as a human, but just saying as people, we don't like to suffer. We don't like the idea of suffering. We feel like, well, yeah, I'm married for better or worse, but really what we're saying is, until I get tired of you is what we really, should put in the vows. For better or until I get tired of you. Because the moment, the moment we get tired of people, or the moment we get pissed off, with a moment that we're frustrated because, that we may have been dealing with a certain issue for 6-7 months now, we're ready just to roll out, you know what I'm saying? And I think over the years, as I've thought about that, like, I've actually thought about, like, the impact it could have, on my children if I just decide just to roll out. And I'm not saying, like, I've never gotten to the point where I felt like I wanted to roll out. I mean, I think, like, yeah, for a split second, the thought may have entered my mind, but I wanted to be clear. Like, I don't want anybody to be like, oh man, but no, I've never entertained the thought or really thought about it. But again, it doesn't matter. We're human beings, and people will be lying to you if they say that they never had that thought. They be lying to you. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So I just think that one of the things about marriage is that, like, marriage really exposes, like, it exposes your selfishness and it exposes your immaturity. Like, it really does. Like, marriage just exposes that joint. It puts it on blast. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, if your wife is immature in an area, it'll show, because it's like, yo, really, yo, this again? You know what I'm saying? Really, again? And if she's selfish, you know, again, it'll expose it. And I think the problem is, Charel, and tell me correct me if I'm wrong, but I think oftentimes the problem is, people get married because they have this idea of Hollywood and what it is. Oh man, she got the big butt and he got the little 6-pack, and you know, I heard he good in the bed, and blah, make it got a good job. It's like, yeah, all of that's cool, but it's like, when y'all in the house raising hell, or y'all been going through, you know, y'all been going through it for 2 or 3 weeks now. None of that matters. You know, how many 6-pack he got don't matter. How big her butt is, that it don't matter. It doesn't matter. How much money he or she got, it doesn't matter. And in fact, I can actually care less. You know, but I think that, you know, oftentimes just the image that we have, or that has been betrayed to us of marriage, is tainted. You know, it's not really the full picture of what God intended. Hey, babe, do you mind reading Corinthians 13, like what God says, what God said that love is? And I said it because, like, I know one of the things in there is long suffering. And like, actually, like, what is those? What is long suffering? And I actually, one time I heard a preacher was like, long suffering means this: you're gonna suffer a lot for a long time. And I know many of us, we actually are not willing to suffer for a long time. If we're being honest, we're not. I'll suffer for 4 or 5 months, but after that, I'm gone. You know what I'm saying? I ain't got no more left in me. I think that for a lot of us, I think that we just don't understand the totality of the impact that it has on our children, our spouses, because it's like, well, you said you would love me, and the moment I don't do something that you want me to do, the moment I can't correct the behavior in a timely fashion, you're wanting to leave me. But it also ruins our witness. You know what I'm saying? Thinking about just how marriage can be difficult, but just, you know, really walking with the Lord and walking with your spouse to really overcome a lot of these difficult tasks. Because I think oftentimes, like, when you're actually in the moment, like, you actually do not believe that you can overcome them. And I think that's actually the trick of the enemy, is to actually convince you that you can't get past it. Just always, you know, being reminded that, you know, you can get past it, and you will. Just read it enough until it goes after it goes into all the qualifications of love. Like, love is, you know, kind, love is patient. Like, after you read, like, those what those are, you can stop reading, babe.
Oh, once I get to the next chapter.
Nah, I mean, you think
that's basically the next chapter. Okay. If I speak in the tongues of men or of angels, but do not have love, I am only a resounding gong or a clanging cymbal. If I have the gift of prophecy and can fathom all the mysteries and all knowledge, and if I have a faith that can move mountains, but do not have love, I am nothing. If I give all I possess to the poor and give over my body to hardship that I may boast, but do not have love, I gain nothing. Love is patient, love is kind. It does not envy, it does not boast, it is not proud, it does not dishonor others, it is not self-seeking, it is not easily angered, it keeps no record of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres.
And that's just, like, I wanted to read that because oftentimes when I think of, like, when people ask me, like, yeah, what, I love you, and like the first thing I always think about is, like, well, what is love? You know, and one of the scriptures that I can think about, it says God is love. Well, what did God do? He gave. You know, and I'm not trying to preach to nobody. Could be like, oh, you know, and for those who don't subscribe to the Christian faith, you know, I mean, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, I would say it's probably just an episode that you might want to skip. You know, if you don't want to hear this, you know.
I mean, but we talk about God in all of our episodes because I mean, it would be false to say that we're living our lives without the guidance of the Lord and the wisdom of the Lord and the direction of the Lord. And not to say that, you know, there's some people who say, well, I mean, you made a mistake, you messed up, or how come, like, you still struggle with this or you still struggle with that, and you say that you love the Lord. But I think that the image and persona that has been put out about Christianity, people who walk with the Lord, has been tainted just by, like, the tomfoolery of it all. And And, we forget that, the Bible is for our soul and salvation, like for those who are followers, not for the non-believers, but it's for the
I
believers.
mean, I think it's for the non-believer
I
too.
mean,
If
it
they,
is for the
if
non-believers.
yeah, you're right. But not to, I don't want to cut you off. But what I wanted to say was that one of the things that the Lord has said to me also is that the real issue is that not only in marriage but in any relationship, the real issue is that we don't want to give up of ourselves. If we're really being honest, like when I thought about like John the Baptist and Jesus Christ, and John said, "I must decrease so that he can increase," because he was saying, "Yo, he's greater than me." You know what I'm saying? But I feel like that in everyday life, in our relationships, the only time people really take that posture is towards their children. But when it's other people or their spouses, like
What posture? I'm sorry.
the posture that I'm let me decrease so that he might increase is that when it comes to the children, they'll do it like, oh yes, that's my baby. I love my baby.
Sometimes they don't even do that,
I
but
mean, I mean, I
okay.
mean, yes, but I'm saying like as a whole. But my point in saying all that is like one of the things the Lord just began to share with me is that like we don't do not want to give up ourselves. Like we don't want to make ourselves a sacrifice for our spouse or for our families. Like it's like I'll sacrifice as much as I'm willing to, but I ain't going but just so far. And that's not true sacrifice. Like I thought about the Lord Jesus Christ is like, he came, his sole purpose was so that he might be a representation of God the Father to those who would be around him or those who would see him. He would be a representation. And then ultimately, when his representation was fulfilled, on earth, he gave up his life, because he said, nobody kills me, I lay my life down. You know what I'm saying? So I just feel like for a lot of us, not figuratively, I mean, not literally, but figuratively, a lot of us in marriage, a lot of marriages fail because people refuse to lay down their lives. You know what I'm saying? They refuse to lay down their lives for their spouses. They refuse to like I know, I've had conversations with guys, that I know who've been married, for years, and people have said things like, well, my wife ain't giving up, sex, so I'm just go get it somewhere else. And I'm thinking to myself, like, I mean, okay, and like, I mean, and don't get me wrong, like, I understand that, for those who are married, sex is a big part of marriage, but it's like, so your wife is not giving you, any sex for whatever reason, and you just gonna go somewhere else and get sex. It's like, come on, man. Like, I just feel like as a people, as it relates to believers, we live in a world where people don't want to give up. They don't want to give up themselves.
You say that, but what does that look like practically? What would that look like for somebody to lay down their lives for their spouse?
For me, I think it's one, being gracious, being peaceful. Because I think like for a lot of us, I was thinking about like I think for a lot of people, it's like, well, I seen my mom steal my dad, and he cheated, and he was always a cheater, or my dad steal my mom, she was always a
Wait,
cheater.
step out or stayed
What I'm saying
with?
is I think a lot of people could get laying your life down confused with tolerance. Like they tolerate something. Like God isn't tolerant. Like, and I think I was reading scriptures. It's like, yeah, the Lord isn't tolerant. Because people think, well, if God loved me, he'll accept me. Me being a whoremonger, which is basically means like someone who's promiscuous, who sleeps around a lot, and they believe it. The Lord loved me. He'll accept me watching porn. It's like, no, God is loving, but he's not tolerant. Love is not tolerant. It's graceful until a person is able to walk out of a certain lifestyle or a certain situation, but love is not tolerant by any means. It's not tolerant. To get back to your question, for me, it would be, well, for myself, in my marriage, a lot of the things that you and I have overcome over the years, just, a big part of it was in the beginning was communication. Um,
I mean, I think that's always communication
well,
because as we grow,
and, and I also felt like in the beginning of our relationship, I felt like you always, I felt he was always like very sarcastic or always had an attitude. Maybe I was wrong, but that's my perception of it. But a lot of times I didn't like get angry, or I was angry, but I didn't outwardly show that I was angry at you for being that way. I would just like say, "Hey, are you being sarcastic, or are you trying to be funny?" You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't return that with, "I don't want to talk to you." You know what I'm saying? I feel uncomfortable. I feel like, just feel like you're out of pocket. I don't want to talk to you. So I just feel like laying your life down. It's not being tick for tack. A lot of people are very vindictive and they're like very petty, like tick for tack. When you start to bring up stuff like, babe, last week, you said that you would do A, B, C, and D, and you didn't. That really broke my heart. Well, you said you did this, and 2 months ago, you know what I'm saying? It's like that's just what I can think of about right now. Like just being very practical. It's like just being understanding, being very gracious, and allowing your spouse to make mistakes, and just bringing correction as much as you see that they're able to accept, and kind of let the things that you feel like you can't correct in that time of season just roll off your back like water off a duck's back, until the Lord kind of highlights a time for you to bring correction to that area. I think to me that's kind of being practical and laying your life down. And no, I haven't always done it to the full extent or to the best of my ability. But I think that the longer that we've been married, the more that I've learned to lay my life down for you. And I think that laying your life down, unless you're Jesus Christ, born like Jesus Christ, I think it's something that you learn to do. But I think that a part of the laying your life down mentality starts with this right here. To death do we part. Like me and my wife, I was telling my coworkers, we have a joke, and and the joke is like, well, which one of us is gonna die first? Because only through death do we part. So I think that's the mentality that we have, is that for us, we always said that divorce for us is not an option. That's why before, when I mentioned divorce, I was like, yeah, when you get into your little mood, you do it, you upset, you feel betrayed at the moment. I'm done. I mean, again, a lot of people do that, but I think that the actual heart that we have is that, for us, divorce is not an option. So it's not an option. I mean, and if you want to leave, hey man, you have to go, on that knife. I'm joking. You hear me?
Mm-hmm.
I'm joking. A lot of people out there want to be like, oh man, he's talking to kill his wife. Nah, it's a joke. It's a joke. But I think that I think for me, it starts with the mindset. Like everything that you do, whether it's laying your life down, sacrificing your life for your family, it starts with the mindset first. Because I think apart from the mindset, you can't do it anyway. You know what I'm saying? Even for those who struggle with being faithful to your spouse, it starts with the mindset. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I agree. Well, I really enjoyed this conversation with you.
Just thank you for tuning in. Thank you for being a part of it with me. And for you guys out there listening, we thank you for your time today. Thank you for listening to us. Hopefully you will comment on our Facebook page or wherever you see that you're able to comment. Just comment and let us know what you're thinking, your views on it. Thank you for listening to About Us Love. As always, you can tune into our podcast on iTunes, Spotify, and Google Podcasts, or wherever you can find podcasts. Until next time, peace.